5th and 6th graders. This week we are going to work on coloring our 1-point perspective drawing from last week. A couple of you did that already, but you might want to make some small changes based on the tips that I give in this video. So just go ahead and watch it and see what you would like to turn in. This is the one that I had already colored, and this is the one that I drew last week with you. So our first step is going to be using a pen and a black marker. So if you don't have a Sharpie, you can just use a regular black marker, and if you don't have like a nice fancy black pen, just use a regular black pen. What you're going to do is you're going to start with your Sharpie and you're going to trace along the outside edge. You could just get your tracer again and use that to trace along the outside edge. When you're using a Sharpie, you want to make sure to do one long smooth line. Don't do short sketchy lines like that, because they just don't look as nice. This smooth long line is going to make your marker line look a lot better. You can do it either way, but you just need to get that whole circle traced. Sometimes I find it's helpful to turn my paper, otherwise my line gets a little wobbly. Once you've done that, you want to trace with your marker the outside of your main buildings, okay? And so that means these lines that we put in first last week, I'm going to trace all of them first. So let's do that quick. All right, once the outside of your main buildings are outlined with your marker, before you move on to your pen, you're going to want to do a few more things with marker. And what you're going to want to do is just basically to provide some variety and some thicker lines to have contrast and variety in your piece. You might even want to color some things in with this marker. So for example, I'm going to cover this little color in right here, this little roof, and make this cross a little bigger and thicker so it stands out. I might do these a little larger and thicker also. And then I'm going to maybe pick one thing on each building to do with my marker so that there's some bold contrast with that marker. So I wouldn't color in really nice things that you could maybe color in better with a colored pencil and that would look nicer, but just do a little bit of work with that black marker. Use it on its side a little bit to make a nice thick black line to provide some contrast and variety. Once you're done with that, we've got a few nice thick lines, then we're going to go ahead and switch from our marker to our pen. And at this point, we're just going to trace all of the other lines that you see on your drawing. If you want to at the end, if you need to, you can erase your pencil lines, but I'm just going to do my best to cover mine up, and yours probably you can just cover them up also, especially because we're going to go over them with colored pencil after. So go ahead and trace the rest of it all with your pen. We finished our pen, and I want to point out that you may have noticed a few times I used my ruler to make those longer straight lines. I find that it works faster and it gives us a nicer line, so you can go ahead and use your ruler for some of those lines too. And now we're going to use our colored pencils. So if you don't have colored pencils and you want to use skinny markers or crayons or something, that's just fine. Colored pencils are just really going to be the easiest, so if you have them, I would use them. What you're looking for when you're doing colored pencils is to give variety so that the whole thing doesn't look sort of drab and the same. Although if you want to try to make it look a little more realistic looking, that is fine. Just try to add color in some places. Your sky, my sky is going to be blue. If you want your sky to be a night sky, you could do that. But again, try to make some contrast and variety in your choice of colors. One tip that I would have is that if I'm doing a daytime scene, which I decided I am, I sometimes put a little blue in the windows. It makes it look like they're reflecting the sky, and so that just looks nice. Another option that you could do in your windows is to put a little bit of yellow as though they were like lit up. So those are two options for windows. Other than that, just go ahead and have fun and do use some variety. I'm going to be looking for that when I grade them. Once you're finished, you can go ahead and sign your name and turn it in. I hope that you had fun. I hope that it turned out great for you. You can notice that you can still see my vanishing point up in the sky. I could try to erase that. Mine was a little darker than yours, so yours might not be visible at all. I hope that you enjoyed the project.